Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. A quick info before we begin. Today's video has two stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Wedding Bummer Yo. Me, 29 female, with my longtime friends, 29 male and 25 female. I did a huge favor for them and I feel very unappreciated. I've known Adam, 29 male, since the 6th grade, and I met his now wife Sarah, 25 female, when they started dating a few years ago. Sarah and I clicked immediately and became very good friends. She's sweet and has an infectious energy. Adam can be kind of a douche, but he's one of those old friends that you make excuses for. And he can be very kind at times, of course. I care about both of them very much. Last year, Adam proposed to Sarah, and they decided on a wedding in a friend of a friend's backyard. Now, this type of wedding can be cheaper, but it requires a lot of organization, because every single element has to be rented and set up. And as people who have never planned an event like this, they were in over their heads almost immediately. My fiance and I moved to a new city about 8 hours away shortly after their engagement. I now work full-time as a wedding planner and a day-of coordinator. At the risk of sounding boastful and strictly for context, I love my job and I'm very good at it. I am highly requested, well-reviewed, well-paid, and I run about 10 weddings a month. So when Sarah called me in tears a couple of months ago because she was so overwhelmed and had no idea how her wedding day would run, of course I told her not to worry about it and that I would coordinate it for her. Why wouldn't I? I mean, she would do the same for me, right? So Thursday morning, after driving for 8 hours, I called and texted Sarah asking when and where I could help. She answers hours later saying not to bother showing up until just before the bachelor or bachelorette party. When I got there, she and two of her bridesmaids were taking bong hits and chatting. So her maid of honor and I prepared wedding desserts in the kitchen while Sarah tended to her friends, one of which was on a horrific acid trip. Friday was setup day and the mother of the bride literally brought a mobile home full of decor with no plan of where anything would go. I have never seen so much decor for a wedding, and that is saying something. At the rehearsal dinner, Sarah ended up screaming at Adam in front of their families and bridal party about a perceived slight, and I had to play counselor for them. On the day of the wedding, everyone got there early to set up. It was another long, stressful day of delegating and organizing, but I got it done. It looked gorgeous, one of the prettiest weddings I've ever done. I ran the ceremony, sprinted up hills to control the music, set up cocktail hour, moved all the seats from ceremony to reception, hooked up all the lights, poured the champagne for toasts, sent tables one at a time to be served by the food truck, everything. Honestly, I felt like Superman. I did an awesome job. 3 couples asked for my rates because they wanted me to run their weddings, and complete strangers gave me such sweet compliments about my professionalism. I was, and am, so proud of how it turned out and grateful for most of the bridal party who worked so hard and took my directions without a second thought. I am used to bridezillas, and I always let their attitudes roll off my back. Weddings are stressful and I don't like to judge people based on a stressful event, but I was not expecting to be treated so crappy by Sarah, who had always been so sweet to me. She stormed up to me several times during the reception to bark orders at me or demand how to know when things were happening, sometimes as I was literally instructing someone to do that very thing. She would roll her eyes at me and be very condescending. She held up her own wedding ceremony because she was convinced I was stupid enough to give the bartender the wrong cups and needed to check herself. She never said thank you until I was leaving at the end of the night. I didn't feel like a friend to her. I felt like an employee and not a respected one at that. Other people also noticed how she treated me. The best man is one of my oldest friends, and he wanted to march up to Sarah and demand she apologize to me during the reception, but I asked him not to because I didn't want to start drama at her wedding. Apparently, she and Adam have been getting nastier to everyone over the past 6 months. Eventually, I just shut down and went into work mode. I didn't eat for about 15 hours. I have blisters on most of my toes and ran about 13 miles around that event, and she treated me like a lazy piece of crap. She was probably the worst bride I've worked with, and again, that's saying something. Adam, shockingly, was actually very appreciative most of the day until I was leaving. The last thing he said to me was, "I love you so much, we couldn't have done this without you, it was perfect, except you effed up that inconsequential thing that no one noticed, ha 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 ha." We drove home yesterday and honestly, I feel like I lost two of my best friends. My fiance, who was by my side the whole time and the most helpful person during setup, I love him so effing much, is livid. He is so pissed that I did such a huge favor for them and they treated me like that. He doesn't want them invited to our wedding and I see his point, but I don't want to make a decision until the whole thing calms down a bit. The maid of honor is equally pissed and texted me the next day to say she also felt taken for granted by Sarah. Sarah and Adam are on their honeymoon for the week right now and I kind of don't want to talk to them yet. So I come to you, good Redditors. Should I say anything? Wait until they contact me? Wait until the best man rips them a new a-hole? Wait for an apology and then reassess their invitation to my wedding? Well, OP, it does sound like you want to avoid the drama, but I would suggest you still say something. I think you should wait until they get back from their honeymoon to actually have their attention and tell them how you felt with the way they treated you. You said it yourself, you don't like to judge people in moments of stress, and even though your friend was acting like an absolute idiot bridezilla, it was a moment of stress. I would argue that it is in those moments of stress when you see somebody's true character. So this is more of a OP, meet the real Sarah. Now, I understand that you do want to try to keep this friendship because it's been so long and they're some of your best friends. Well, then give them a chance to step up and actually be those friends. If they fail, then you know that the relationship is over. If not, well, then it'll be shaky and you can start to rebuild it. That's up to you. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Deleted says, "This is why when you have a business, doing favors for friends can be problematic. You did a nice thing and showed class, and I think give yourself some time and distance from them, and frankly, they are newlyweds, so it might be a while before they notice, and pick a time to tell Adam you did not appreciate how you were treated by Sarah. And be honest, say it is making you reconsider your friendship. I recently had a friend severely undercharge me for a dog photo session at his insistence, so I bought him some pricey whiskey. If this is the real Sarah, I would wish Adam good luck, he will need it." And OP responds, "Lesson learned for sure. Best man and his fiance were scared that this experience would keep me from helping them on their wedding day, but they already offered to pay me and they have their crap together, so I'm not as worried about them. I always figured it was Adam that caused most of their problems, but it looks like Sarah is not as sweet as I thought." Throwaway hey 08 says, "Wait until they contact you and let them know you are disappointed with how they treated you. Reiterate that you were glad to help, but that their behavior and conduct left you feeling, however you felt leaving that encounter, upset, frustrated, angry. Also, tell them you're taking a breather and will reach out when you're ready to work on your friendship. Then do that. Give it some time and space. If they apologize, consider that apology and accept it if you can. I have a gut feeling that they will probably deny and minimize their poor behavior, which, if they do, drop them. You've worked with enough brides to know what is a day of frustration and panic and what is being a straight-up douche. What you outline sounds like douchery." And OP responds, "I truly was glad to help, and even now I think I would have done the same thing. It probably would have been a crap show if I hadn't been there. I couldn't sleep at night if I had showed up on Saturday and watched a train wreck knowing I could have helped. You are right, Sarah's behavior was douchey. Thank you for your advice. I'll cool off and see if they reach out at all." Smiley face. Ruwaldi says, "If you decide to end the friendship, I think you should make it very clear to both of them exactly why you are cutting contact. Sarah deserves to know how badly she effed up. I would cut Adam some slack about that one comment though. I realized that his partying comment felt like a slap in the face after all the abuse from Sarah, but he probably didn't mean much by it, and it would have slid off your back if things had been different throughout the day. And OP responds, "You're right, Adam hadn't seen most of Sarah's attitude, and he probably wouldn't have said it if he'd known how bummed I was. Thank you." Additional information from OP's comments. Just to add that the maid of honor was amazing. I've known her for a little while, but she, my fiance, and I really bonded, and I hope to have her as a guest at my wedding. Smiley face. Also, I've been having a problem thinking about if this friendship is worth saving or not. In fact, that's exactly what I'm wrestling with right now. So thank you all for the comments. I'll wait till I cool down, set a date, and then go from there if she doesn't contact me. Thanks again. Alright, well, the community gave OP different angles and to think about different people, and OP is gonna take the advice of cooling off and then seeing what happens. So how about we move on to the update to see how the story ends, but before that, of course, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now, let's continue with the update. Hi everyone, thanks for all of the advice on my previous post. I love an update, so here's mine. So, Sarah and Adam's wedding happened around 4 months ago. I decided that if I hadn't heard anything by the beginning of this month, then I would email Sarah and confront her about her behavior. I wanted to give it a little time so that everyone could cool down. Plus, I've been absolutely swamped with weddings and work, so I thought 4 months would give her a very gracious amount of time to think things over. Well, lots of stuff happened, none of which were apologies. I never received a thank you note, a call, a text, or anything. Sarah's maid of honor actually confronted her about her behavior towards her and me and others 2 months ago, and Sarah said, "Oh really? I thought I said thank you. I didn't realize I was acting badly." So she was informed that she was out of line, but took no steps actually to make things right. The only time Sarah tried to contact me since the wedding was when, unfortunately, my fiance's sister passed away. It was sudden and crappy, and we're heartbroken that she won't be at our wedding. Sarah texted me about a week after she passed saying, "I just realized I haven't talked to you since the wedding. I'm sorry about your fiance's sister. If you need to vent, let me know." Not sure why she texted me and not my fiance, but whatever. I said thanks and didn't respond further because I wanted to focus on my fiance and his family. Then Adam's best man called me last week to tell me the news. Adam and Sarah are divorcing. Apparently, things started going downhill immediately following the wedding. More fighting, not sleeping in the same bed, etc. Then Sarah lost her job. Then they decided to get a puppy. Then, a few weeks ago, Sarah confronted Adam basically saying, "I feel like you proposed under pressure, and then when everyone told you it was a mistake, you doubled down even though it seems clear you don't want to be married to me." And Adam basically agreed. And honestly, everyone had tried to tell both of them that this was a bad idea. We really tried, but they were having none of it. They just thought that relationship milestones, moving in together, engagement, marriage, puppies, would be good band-aids for their problems. Yeah, that always works. So Sarah moved back to her home state to live with her parents. Their families are livid. The bridal parties and wedding guests are upset too. Obviously, none of the wedding gifts were returned. It sucks and I'm sad for them because breakup and divorces aren't fun, but I'm sure it'll be better for both of them in the long run. I had a short text conversation with Adam and he seems as okay as can be expected. It seems like my question of whether they should be invited to my and my fiance's wedding has worked itself out. Thanks again for all of the advice, even though I didn't actually get to use any of it. Smiley face. Well, OP, I guess things worked out for the better. I mean, you didn't have to confront them. Now you just get to keep Adam as a friend and forget about Sarah. And if we look for a silver lining, you got to perform your best wedding ever. Surely you took pictures of that and you can include those in your portfolio, which is just a bigger notch on your awesome career so far. So here's wishing you and your fiance the best at the wedding and that you guys have a lot of fun at it. And yeah, all the best in the future as well. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that, like I said in the beginning, also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user She's Crazy TBH. My sister, 23 female, thinks that marrying her boyfriend, 27 male, and having kids with him will make their relationship spark up again. How do I, 14 female, tell her this is a bad idea? Hello Reddit, my sister has been dating her boyfriend for about 3 years. Recently, they have been dealing with some relationship issues. I don't know a lot about it, but they're having some problems. Basically, my sister has been telling everyone that she's going to marry him and have babies and that things are going to be fine again. This is such a bad idea, I mean, maybe he can put some sense into her by having a serious conversation, but this is absolutely crazy. Marriage won't make their relationship better. Even if you love someone and decide to marry them, if something happens and you have to divorce, divorce is such a pain in the ass. Now having kids is a completely different thing. You do not put human beings on this planet just to get your partner to love you again. That's BS, careless, and inconsiderate. It's effing stupid, and I think it will create a lot of resentment. They'll both have to deal with a human being for 18 years. How do I approach this situation? Her partner knows about it, by the way, and he seems very unhappy with the situation, but I honestly think their relationship is so doomed that he doesn't even care anymore. Help! Well, OP, first of all, I've got to say it's awesome that at 14 you have things so very clear. The only comment I'd say is that you don't deal with somebody for 18 years. You raise them for 18 years and you deal with them for the rest of their lives unless you cut them off or they cut you off. Anyways, I have to absolutely agree with your username. It's nuts to think that this could actually fix any kind of relationship. Now, unfortunately, in your post, you don't mention if you've talked to her about this. Have your parents talked to her about it? It might be difficult for her to understand, but if somebody that she absolutely trusts can show her or tell her that this is a big mistake, it could help her. If not, the other thing that you could do is talk to the boyfriend to actually just step up and end the relationship if he's so unhappy. Other than that, it's kind of difficult to restrain them from doing it. And if they do it, yeah, they'd both be idiots. And what do you guys think about this situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section. And now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. El Hunters says, well, try talking to her, but something tells me that an unreasonable adult is not going to listen to a reasonable teenager, so might as well go make some popcorn and watch their little spark ignite a bunch of explosives as the whole thing comes burning down in flames. Muse Hill says, move in with her, wake her up every 3 hours and ask for food, take her money, follow her around and act upset, but never tell her why until she has tried 2 or 3 things already, vomit on her clothes. Ask her if she feels sparky. Sham Bubger says, my friend and his girlfriend did this. He even did an elaborate surprise proposal. The time and setting were surprises, but the proposal was not. I found out later that the relationship was struggling and were hoping engagement and marriage would spark things up back to the way they were. When they told me, a year or so later, I told them he was nuts and that it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. They lasted 6 whole months, by the way. I don't even think they speak anymore. Additional information from OP's comments. My parents are just as insane as she is, honestly. I was raised in the stereotypical rich family and my parents never took care of us, so they offered money instead. Is everything okay? Do you need money? A car? They are completely clueless, and my parents already know that she's planning on marrying and having kids. My mom seemed very excited about it. Sad face. I have 4 siblings. One is my 30-year-old brother who thinks he's some sort of Freud, moved to a desert island in the middle of nowhere in Europe and comes back every holiday to talk about the meaning of life. Trademark pending. Then I have a 17-year-old sister who's a model and always makes me cringe in restaurants because she treats the staff badly. She thinks she's hot crap. I have my sister, which is the one I talk about in this post. The only sane person in my family is my 27-year-old brother who lives in downtown LA. He's my hope in this situation, but I don't want to bother him. Sad face. Well, the community agrees that it's a very bad idea and that OP should try to talk to her. I mean, it's the metaphorical equivalent of eating a bowl of crap, knowing that you don't like it, and instead of throwing it away, you think that pouring more crap into that bowl and forcing yourself to eat it has the potential to make it taste better. It never does. I know it's a crass comparison, but I think it works. Anyways, let's move on to the update to see how OP solved this situation, if she did, because let's face it, the parents not gonna help. Just wanted to say that my sister and her boyfriend decided to break up and also that she's not getting pregnant and marrying him anymore. As some people advised me, I called my brother and asked him to help me. He came over on Thursday and had a serious talk with her. He told her to think about the future. Don't think about it right now. Think about your life in 10, 20, 30 years. Kids won't fix a broken relationship, and heartbreak isn't the worst thing in the world. He also told her that she doesn't owe anything to that guy, but years down the line, if she decides to marry him, she'll have to deal with her awful relationship and take care of the other human beings with him. At first, she couldn't accept it, but after thinking about it, she decided that they should break up. Her boyfriend didn't seem upset at all, and even though she's sad now, she'll get better and keep focusing on her education, which is important. Now I have to deal with my crazy family. My oldest brother from Europe is coming over on Thanksgiving. Wish me luck. But thank you so much for helping me. People here are awesome. Sometimes. Smiley face. Alright, OP, I'm gonna call this a positive update. Thankfully, your older brother was able to talk some sense into her, and now she can move on with her life. Thank you so much for sharing, OP, and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.